In the original most shocking Easter eggs in kids games, I suggested that the kinds of things that you see in older kids games you would hardly see today. Well, it turns out I was wrong. This is why today we're diving into 10 more of the most shocking Easter eggs that were ever found in kids games, Part 2. Brought to you by Manscaped. Why am I wearing this? Use promo code Oddheader in the link down below to save 20% today. LittleBigPlanet Karting. Thanks to Odd Magic Floating Mario Head and ghostlyTrickster for submitting this on my Discord server. LittleBigPlanet is a series with a number of unexpected discoveries, having only recently covered some unsolved and rather gruesome artwork found in a prototype that doesn't seem to fit in the game. The same can be said for the 2012 Kart Racer installment in the series, as a particularly odd discovery was found on an unused test map among the 112 levels that were stored in the game's data. As in course NIS Test 259, it is not really much of anything, until the player were to cross the finish line and be met with, what in the I don't even know what to say. Odd Magic Floating Mario Head also pointed out in LittleBigPlanet 3, on a texture that represents fuzz on the Sandy Cheeks costume for the SpongeBob SquarePants DLC, can be found a crude drawing of the internet meme butt, which doesn't actually render into the game and only appears on the texture file. You honestly at this point have to wonder, was everyone who worked on this game okay? Woody Poco. Thanks to Hyperboreal for submitting this through the Oddheader Discord. Some of us may remember as a kid hearing those schoolyard rumors about some secret way in a video game to see a character naked, that despite our greatest efforts and wishes never ended up being true. Well, according to a 2016 interview with game developer Takaki Kobayashi in the book The Untold History of Japanese Game Developers, Kobayashi revealed he hid a secret in the 1986 game Woody Poco that he didn't want to reveal to the strategy guide publisher, and instead told the secret to some random school children. Okay. And just what was it that Kobayashi decided to privately confide in school children? Well, if you went to the bread store, stood in front of the cashier behind the desk and pressed the B button 200 times, her clothes would fall off. Kobayashi said that one of the school children took a photo of the egg, and word spread so quickly about the Easter egg, Kobayashi ended up having to deal with a very unamused publisher. Which I'd say is one of many reasons that Kobayashi probably shouldn't have shared this with school children. Pajama Sam 3. You are what you eat from your head to your feet. 2000's Pajama Sam 3 places a typical humongous entertainment title, teaching kids about healthy eating habits as the player unites members of each food group together for a successful peace conference. In one scene early in the game, after escaping imprisonment by the junk food, Sam comes across a scene of sweet troops blocking his path from progressing further. However, very strangely, it was found if the player were to open the game's configuration file and add WTO=S to the file, the sweet troops would suddenly be donning police gear, based on the discovery requiring the letters WTO to activate, and that humongous entertainment was based in the Seattle area in 1999 around the time of this game's release. The riot gear appears to be a clear reference to the 1999 World Trade Organization protest, also known as the Battle of Seattle. In the Battle of Seattle, 60,000 came together during a conference in downtown Seattle to rally against the newly formed organization WTO for lack of transparency, lack of representation, and the enforcement of policies that benefited corporations over local economies. The exact sort of things that children playing Pajama Sam 3 care about. The situation escalated when peaceful protesters trying to stop rioters were gassed by police, making the movement ultimately shift its focus to police brutality, which appears to explain why a tactical police battalion complete with tear gas for some reason shows up in a game that right at the beginning says it's intended for kids 3 to 8. Call me prudish, but that sort of seems a little heavy for a game whose audience is still learning about the dangers of eating too many candies and sweets. Klonoa 2. Luneta's Veil. Thanks to rariteh for submitting this discovery on Oddheader.com. 2001's Klonoa 2 is a highly underrated PlayStation 2 classic and a near-perfect platform that unfortunately due to poor sales is one of the console's rarest titles, which perhaps explains why this discovery about a cipher in the background of the boss battle at the end of the game wasn't found until 2019. 18 years after the game's release. Cello2WC on the Untamed Heart Klonoa Collective forum noticed this text in the background of the scene, which is most visible during a quick moment in the final cutscene, and it was found it was a cipher of Romanized Japanese with many slight inconsistencies. completely inexplicably when translated to Japanese characters and then translated into English. The cipher turns out to contain exact lines from this notorious scene in Stanley Kubrick's famous Vietnam War film Full Metal Jacket. The scene itself is actually one of the movie's more disturbing moments, where the protagonist Joker questions a door gunner if he's killed any innocents, all while he's firing out the side of a helicopter shooting at anything he sees move. Considering this scene is a lot even for a hard R war film, it strongly begs the question why one of the brightest and most innocent platformers ever released on the PS2 would lift and hide such heinous lines from a scene that's solely about Vietnam War casualties. Doesn't exactly seem to fit the tone of literally everything that's on screen right now. Also, I'm pretty sure nowhere in Klonoa 2 was the theme War is Hell. Additionally, not all of this cipher is solved, as it's unknown the origin of these lines of text. So if anyone out there has any idea, I'm sure we would all love some clarity to this wildly confusing discovery. A Hat in Time. Thanks to the people down below for submitting this through the Oddheader website, Discord, and Reddit. 2017's A Hat in Time is a highly popular platformer inspired by classics like Super Mario 64 and Psychonauts that has players assume the role of Hat Kid, an alien girl who travels around foreign planets searching for missing timepieces to her spaceship in order to get herself home. One discovery that would likely distress many younger players occurs on Hat Kid's spaceship, where on occasion if you were to go into Hat Kid's bedroom and wait around for roughly 20 minutes, a booming, foreboding noise would suddenly fill the room, which is strangely similar to a discovery I discussed in the last video where disturbing noises would play after 20 minutes of sitting in a boss room in Splatoon. Even more peculiar, the noise was actually updated at one point to sound even more menacing and mysterious, as evidenced by the Switch version, which still uses the original audio. And there appears to have been added some sort of airlock mechanism to the audio as well. It is possible it could have been added by a rogue developer, as there was another Easter egg in this level that led to a series of cryptic, now removed YouTube videos. However, that Easter egg was confirmed to be a promotion for a series of mod levels, and in no way involved whatever's going on here. The fact that this discovery was also updated to sound more booming and threatening also seems to imply there is a greater significance here that we just don't understand. But unfortunately, at this point, the only purpose it seems to immediately serve is to scare the hell out of children. Mega Man Legends 2. Thanks to Fortune Cat and Ryan S for submitting this through the Oddheader website and Discord. Mega Man Legends 2 is not only remembered for being one of the best games in Capcom's long-running series, but also for having a number of eyebrow-raising moments for an E-rated kids game. For instance, there's an Easter egg in the game where after a specific series of tasks you could walk in on your sidekick Roll while she was taking a bath, which actually prompts a fist pump from Mega Man, as well as grants a 10% discount on items. Not sure what that's supposed to mean. Not only that, but the story also boldly featured a moment of partial nudity in a small scene with the character Sarah, which while was tame and far from explicit due to the blocky visuals, still seemed a bit unusual for a kids game. And if only it ended there. As players found with the use of a Game Shark, you could hack into a normally inaccessible debug room that was hiding in the game's data. The environment is a fairly standard debug area roughly rigged together for testing purposes, which for some reason includes enormous versions of some of the game's many characters, only 3 of which actually appear here: Tron, Roll, and a giant naked Sarah. Wow. Of all the character models they could have used. Even more unbelievably, if the player were to plug in the second controller and then press left or right on the D-pad, you could place Sarah into a number of different positions, which definitely seems to confirm these developers probably need to get out more. Yeah, I don't think I need to go any further as to why this is inappropriate for a kids game. Transformice. Transformice is a free-to-play online multiplayer platformer. Released on Steam in 2015, where players are thrown into a variety of maps as a mouse with only one simple objective: grab the cheese and return to the hole. Based on that sheer simplicity, you can likely see why the game is popular with children worldwide. However, an anonymous hacker who submitted this through Oddheader.com managed to find a particularly strange site when decompiling the game, as they found crude death animations lurking in the game's data of a very unfortunate Indiana Jones character. While it could have been some sort of death scene that ended up removed from the final game, I highly doubt this was ever actually going to make it, considering the entire nature of the game. Why a game with this abundance of cuteness would have these animations in its data is a complete mystery. I can only imagine how this moment would have gone for the game's many younger players when they saw their cute mouse friend obliterate into a pile of bloody slop. Yikes. Roblox. Thanks to Geo Poksla for submitting this mystery through Oddheader.com. Roblox is a game that couldn't more fit the description of being child-friendly, having been played by over half the children in the US under 16. Considering that entails approximately 32.6 million players daily, there's not much that can go hidden in the most popular entertainment app for children. For example, Geo Poksla shared an interesting find involving special user commands given out by Roblox to administrators for managing their games a little easier, such as "I love you" and "always watching," that when inputted in the game play something rather unusual. Now, I was skeptical of simply seeing this, so I managed to get into a game that had its administrator commands available for any of its players. And after typing in "?I love you?" What in the... Guess I'm not getting any sleep tonight. For some reason, an incredibly creepy video of a person in a clown mask rubbing their face eerily displays over top of everything in the game. Again, from everything I could verify, this is not the work of anything user related, and is only a tool to help certain owners in administrating their games. Not that I understand for a single second how this would be useful in any way. Unless of course you want help traumatizing someone scared of clowns. Atomic Bomberman. Bomberman is another long-running series of games designed for younger players, produced by a number of developers and publishers throughout the decades, where players eliminate each other by placing bombs in a maze that strategically explode in multiple directions. Nearly every game in the series has been rated E for everyone, minus the teen Xbox 360 hyper-realistic reboot that nobody remembers, and for good reason. However, Atomic Bomberman, released on Windows in 1997 with an all-ages rating, appears to be the first Bomberman that may have attempted to appeal to an older audience, as the voices in the game were done by Charlie Adler of Rocko's Modern Life fame and Billy West, best known as Fry of Futurama. Strangely though, for some reason in the data of the game can be found over 100 takes of unused voice lines that are unclear whether were put in as a joke or were in some way seriously considered for the game.
My killing me. I need help.
Eat my dust and lick my crack.
It's been theorized by many that the explicit voice clips were added to the game's disc to attract publicity to the game when they were discovered. But honestly, for 1997, that sort of sounds like a far-fetched marketing tactic I can't imagine ever working at the time, especially considering that it didn't. Why the voice lines are on the disc have never been confirmed. Whether the voice actors were just having too much fun or the developers were actually crazy enough to try to work this in the game is basically a toss-up. One thing's for sure, they can be glad the ESRB never caught this one, because I think it would have gone over a lot worse than what happened with Rockstar.
Not again.
The Jungle Book. You're probably thinking right now, what on earth could be shocking in The Jungle Book? A video game that very closely follows the classic 1967 Walt Disney children's film. Well, in 2019, a prototype of the game that was intended for the 1994 Winter Consumer Electronics Show was obtained and dumped online by video game archivist DRX. The prototype build contains a number of differences from the final game, which makes sense considering it was only intended for demonstration purposes at the event, the most startling of which you can find by downloading the prototype and opening it up with a hex editor. To preface, the actually released game follows the original Disney movie's conclusion pretty closely, with Mowgli noticing a singing girl and following her back to her village and returning to human society. But for some reason in the prototype we can see the original ending written in the game's data was a tiny bit different than what appeared in the final game. As we can see, the original text for the ending said, "The little girl was singing a song about the village and her parents. Mowgli could not resist the girl's lovely legs and he f***ed her in the village." Holy Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's not what happened in the original movie. I can guarantee whoever was responsible for this one was certain this was never actually going to see the light of day all these years later. Considering Disney once fired a writer on his first day for just joking about Mickey and Minnie getting cozy with one another. True story. I can only imagine the hand that would have come down over at Disney if they knew this existed in the game at any point in development, regardless of it being a joke or not. Whoever did this one had some serious balls. Speaking of that, if you're also owner of a pair, you might want to check out Manscaped's The Ball Checker app, which is a cool app that gives all kinds of information about how to stay healthy down there, such as how to properly do a self-exam. And you can perform simple routine self-checks at home while enjoying Manscaped products you use every day, like the Skin Safe Lawnmower 3.0. Because April is National Testicular Cancer Awareness Month, every purchase at manscaped.com goes towards contributions to the Testicular Cancer Society. Use promo code Oddheader for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Spread the message about checking yourself and don't forget to take care of your pair. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. And if you know of any more shocking Easter eggs in kids games, submit to oddheader.com, come join the Discord, or even send me a shout through Twitter or Reddit. Shout out to Anna Morris, Athanasius Stasinos, Ash Photography, Bitwith27, Cody Brody Whitlow, Combat 15 Bold, Dead Plastic, Decider 12, Dear Mid Crowley, Ed Moffat, Eddie Toxpin, Endergrove 72, Flex, Jonathan A.L. Ornelas, Price Prime's Workshop, Ponage Cakes, Rage Spot, Rise Sparrow, Reed Della Rosa, Riley S, Scarities, Select, Sneaking J, Sputnik 1 Scat, Sasuke Akira, Cirsa Fox, Towerizer, Tylorco 7, Wade Murdoch, and Yu Kirby for their Patreon support. Stay tuned.